Let's start. Good day everyone, especially to our dearest teacher, Miss Leonime Labajo. I would like to introduce myself first. I am Gia A. Jacobi.
I'm Marjorie T. Godal. And I am Rebecca A. Pagpinton. Today we are going to talk about
Communication Arts and Overview.
Now let's talk about communication arts. First, what is communication arts? Communication arts is also known as language art. Communication arts includes wide range of school activities that help us students to become knowledgeable about language. In communication art, there is what we call a strategic ways in teaching and in learning, and this is what we call the approach.
These are the approaches and methods of communication.
First, the grammar transition method.
The objective of the grammar transition method is to read literature in the target language. It includes memorizing grammar rules and vocabulary in the target language. Direct method. Its goal is to communicate in the target language. It is a way of teaching in which teacher uses a systematic way in teaching for students to learn the language by using visual support. Then the teacher uses only the language being taught and not using the native language. Example of direct method in teaching is proliferation, visual support, listening activities, oral exercises and tasks, and a chat audiolingual approach. Its goal is to use the target language communicatively, to master the target language, to enable students to use it automatically as new habits are formed, and native language are overcome. The silent way. It is when the teacher is silent most of the time, but very active in listening. It is when the teacher observes the students in the classroom. The goal of this is to use language as a self-expression and to develop independence from the teacher. Gestopedia. Suggestopedia was developed to aim establishing creative and highly efficient learning. It is when teachers suggesting to help students to understand.
Community language learning is a language teaching approach in which students work together to develop what aspect of a language they would like to learn. It advises teachers to take their students as whole person. Communicative approach. To become communicatively competent. To use language appropriate for a given social context. Basal reading approach is a core reading program that is used to teach children to read. Individual reading instruction. To read materials of the students on choice and to progress at his or her rate. All language approach, also known as balanced reader, an educational philosophy that teaches children to read by using strategies that shows how language is a system of parts that work together to create meaning. Let's now move on to nature communication. Nature communication is an act of sharing one ideas, emotions to the another person. We have to remember that nature communication is occurs between two or more people, and we always have the sender and the receiver. One of the most important traits of communication is being symbolic or sign languages. It involves that communication can both employ verbal and non-verbal communication. So, in that way, it is easily to understand to the listener. And lastly, the communication is expressed in various ways.
I am assigned to tackle about the nature and processes of communication, but first, let us know what nature of communication is. Nature of communication is about sharing information, interchange of emotions or feelings, ideas, attitude or values, or clarification of signals with another person or a group of persons through words, either in a way of written or through spoken, such as gestures, signals, signs, or other mode of transmitting images. In order to clarify, I will show you the several components of elements and processes of communication. First is a sender. It is the person who encodes and sends the message through an appropriate channel or medium. Most of all, a sender is a source of information that is generated to be delivered to the receiver. Second is encoding. It is the process where the information you would like to communicate. So in order to convey meaning, the sender must begin encoding, which means translating information into a message in the form of symbols that represents ideas or concepts. Third is message. The message is whatever the sender communication to the receiver. Also, it is defined as information conveyed by words. It can be verbal or non-verbal communication. Next is channel. Channel is used to transmit the message from sender to receiver. In the other word, channel is the method through which a message is sent to its intended receiver. For example of channel is phone calls, text messages, emails, video, radio, or any social media. Next is decoding. It is interpreting the meaning of the message, or in the other hand, decoding means listener or audience of encoded message. Next is the receiver. It is the destination of the message. The receiver's task is to interpret the sender's message, either it is verbal or non-verbal communication. Next is noise. Noise is one of the barriers in the process which may lead to communication breakdown. For example, bad telephone connection, faulty encoding or decoding, inattentive receiver, poor understanding of message due to inappropriate gestures, and etc. And last is the feedback. Feedback is the final component and one of the important factors in the process of communication. In the other word, it is defined as the response given by the receiver to the sender. Either it is negative or a positive. As an end, I will show or present a picture as an example of the processes of communication.
Who is you? I fall in love before you do. Who is you? I fall in love.
Hello and welcome to Communication Art 1.2. I'm your host, Giselle Guartal from the Department of Education. Today, I want to share to you my learning insight in communication art, and my specific topic is the four main types of communication. What can you think when I say the words communication? It may be a conversation you had with your friends, or a text message you sent with your loved ones. Communication has a lot of things to ponder, and in this video, we are going to understand it. Communication is divided into four main types. Under verbal, we have oral and written communication, and non-verbal, which includes gestural and visual communication. First, verbal communication uses words in order to communicate well, wherein a speaker passes a message to the listener using medium or a channel. Under verbal communication, we have oral and written communication. First is oral communication. That includes not only what we say, but also how we say it. There is difference between speaking normally and speaking with confidence. The latter impacts the listener or the audience will give strong impression. Second is written communication. On other hand, is the use of text to convey information. We may write in a different way depending on situations or purpose. For example, the way we write our list of groceries is different from writing an email to your instructor. Third types of communication under nonverbal is gestural or gesture to use to convey specific information. The fourth types is visual communication, where we use our own sight to understand the written symbol. For example, warning signs, directions, and such. I learned a lot in this lesson and applicable in my everyday basic, because we communicate every day in order to be understood by the people around us. That's all, and thank you.